Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Raphael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Raphael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Dustin, thank you so much for joining me on Coaching Call. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show, man. I'm excited.
Likewise. We're going to talk about sales. That's something that I believe everyone in this world should know, but so many people are terrified of doing it, and some people stink at it.
Yes.
But it shouldn't be that, right? It shouldn't be like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do me a favor, at one point or another, I'm going to start putting all your information on the screen so people can find about you and how you can help them. So whenever you get a chance, just in the private chat, put up your stuff so that I can share it with the audience as well. Because I know that once we get talking, people are going to go, man, I need to reach out and get some advice from Dustin. So at one point, if you can do that, I appreciate it.
Okay.
And then the other thing that is always very intriguing to me is also when we think about the life that we've had. You've had quite an interesting life. I remember our call that we had prior to us coming live today, how you've come along and you've made a difference in your own life. Who impacted you when you were a little guy? If you recall, when you were like 5, 6, 8, 12, whatever, and you started thinking about things, maybe back then you didn't think you did, but now when you reflect back, you go, I probably was very in tune to things. So talk to us about your childhood, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's funny. There is a moment in my childhood that I remember my mom actually calling me a leader as a little kid. Like, she's like, Dustin, you're a leader. And the reason she'd say that is whenever she took me to the park, all these kids were all split up doing their own thing. Some were on the slide, some were on the swings. And I would just call them all together and say, hey, guys, we're all going to play tag together. We're all going to play a big, game of tag, everybody here. And so essentially, I was the guy that would like gather everyone together, get everyone unified, and help us do something together rather than being split up. And as I look back at, my childhood, that's just kind of how I naturally was, no matter where I went. If I went to a party, I would be the one that would want to plan some sort of game because it would bring everyone together and be laughing. And so when I got into business, those skills definitely transferred over. But that is definitely a moment I remember as a kid that really formed me, because I think what your parents and, the adults around you say really do shape your beliefs about you. And so you could say really terrible things to a youngster, or you could say really great things. So it's a good reminder to us that, hey, as adults, they're sponges and we should be doing nothing but pouring encouragement into them and helping them to see themselves in a positive way. So yeah, that's definitely a moment that I remember that helped shape me in my future years.
Nice. You remind me of my son in a way, because my son used to do the same thing. I have 2 boys, right? One used to go and just want to like only play with his brother or me. And the other one would go and gather all the kids and go, okay, Dad, we're all going to play, this game or that. So when we think about a natural leader, right, when we want to encourage other people, I think that's definitely a big benefit. And we can see that in kids. But, it's also the words that your mom poured into you, I believe, that helped you understand that, hey, wait a minute. Maybe you didn't think you were a leader, but she poured those words into you. So when we pour positivity into the world, especially our children, what a difference it makes, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the same with clients, whoever you work with in your business,
Hmm.
we can sometimes cut that off after someone becomes an adult and they say, okay, you're on your own now. You should self-love have positive self-talk. But I think adults need it even more because they have so much pressure and weight on them, whether it's the bills, raising a family, keeping up with what they need to do at their job, and trying to balance these goals that they always dreamed about when they were younger. And they can sometimes put themselves on the back burner. So that's something that I know we do at our gyms. And I know there's a lot of people in a coaching space watching and listening to this. We really say, hey, the superpower of a coach is encouragement. To a lot of your clients, you're the superhero in their life. You're like the best part of their day, and you're this person that they aspire to be like. And so when you pour into them and you give them encouragement and you point out what's going right, because they often are only looking at what's going wrong, they start to attribute positive feelings with you. And that's really a good spin, because most people have a negative connotation with the gym. They think of sweat and sacrifice and pain and aches and sores. And so they're like, well, it's worth it because when I go there, they always compliment me. They know me by first name.
Mm,
They're very encouraging. And
right.
all I hear at home or at work is what I'm doing. Hey, you missed this deadline on this work project. Hey, you did this wrong. The kids are like, hey, I don't want this. I want my own personal
Mm,
dinner. Can you make mac and cheese? I don't want lasagna. The spouse could be telling you what you messed up on. So if all you're hearing in your other world is this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and then you go to this one magical place that tells you everything you're doing right, that makes people drawn to go to the gym. Now they crave it. And I kind of say we need to make it like an adult version of Disneyland, where people like go as an escape, not because we want them to just ignore their problems in their life, but it's like a sanctuary you can kind of retreat to and do some self-care, take your armor off when you're in the day-to-day battlefield, and kind of, work on yourself and enjoy some self-care. So that's
mm.
something, again, I want to just pour to these coaches that are listening into it, is that your superpower is encouragement.
Yeah. You and I are an anomaly. You know that, right?
Why do you say that?
Well, I'm going to tell you, yes, I own a facility as well. And when people come in, we always say hi. And when I had a client of mine say, man, every time I come here, I remember Cheers, because it's a place everybody knows your name, and I feel comfortable. And this member has been with me, I probably think about 23 years. So,
Wow.
yeah. So here's what some people, promotion of your channel. Everybody wants to promote my channel. Here's an idea. If you want to promote my channel, just like it and tell other people about it. People here, they're trying to drum up some business, and I appreciate that. So thank you for listening, right? But here's the thing. So you and I are an anomaly because I've always worked out at my facility. And this year, and I've belonged many years, I've belonged to many different gyms, even though I've always owned my own. And I always like going to other gyms. So this year I said, I'm going to go check out a bunch of gyms and I'm going to pick one. I started in December. Can I tell you? I went to a bunch of different gyms. I had appointments. One gym I went to, I'm not going to say names, they had nobody at the front desk at all. And I waited about 10 minutes. Nobody. I said, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to see how the gym is. I went into the locker room. I I changed. I put my stuff in the locker. I worked out for an hour and a half. And during this time, I kept looking because, I'm always looking what people are doing, what businesses are doing. And I'm looking and looking and looking. And in an hour and a half that I was there, nobody was at the front desk. I
Jeez.
left. Okay. So they did have a somewhat of a follow-up because somebody said, hey, they actually called me and they said, hey, how was your workout? I said, really good, but I didn't meet anybody. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they were around. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I said, I can't really talk right now. Why don't we talk? I wanted to see what their follow-up system was. I said, What, can we talk tomorrow? Yes, I'll call you at 8 a.m. I said, perfect. 8 a.m., no call. No call. You know when they called? I actually called at 12 p.m. And the person said, oh, hey, how you doing? And I said, what happened to you? And this was the manager of this facility. So I said, okay, that gym is out. Then I went to another one and I walked in. Somebody was at the front desk and I said, hi, here, I'm here to take a look at the gym. She literally turned around and she goes, this is it. And she did that. And I was like, thank you. She goes, the locker rooms are over there. And she just pointed from where she was. No tour, no nothing. I said, okay, thank you. And this was not a cheap gym. This was an expensive gym. And I said, okay. So I worked out. I had a good workout, but I said, man, there's nothing here. So then I went to another gym, similar experience. They literally took me, it was a second floor. They said, they got me to the top of their stairs and said, this is it. Okay. And that was it. And then the one I actually joined was, there was 3 people at the desk. And I'm talking about 5 a.m. because I like to work out early. There was 3 people at the desk. They said, hey, here it is. This is, and they walked me around. And they said, do you need any help? I said, no, I'm actually pretty good. So I like the fact that they came around and they made me feel like what you talked about, which was they made me feel welcomed. Like I should call this my home. So out of 4 gyms, one of them was the only one that took the time. Because I know a lot of gyms are working on a numbers game, right? So if we have, 3,000 members, 10,000 members, who cares? But we still need that hand holding. What if I've never worked out? What if I don't know what the equipment does or any of that stuff? They even offered me, would you like a one-on-one session? I don't want to waste their energy or their resource because I don't need that. So I said, no, I'm actually really good. So they offered that to me free for the first one. I said, no, this is cool. But that's the gym I joined. And I go to it every day. And I see that there's always somebody cleaning. Somebody every morning they say good morning to me. When I leave, they say goodbye. So they're very attentive. They're always, literally, always cleaning the place. And it doesn't matter who's behind the desk. They'll come out of the desk, they'll see something, they'll come up, they'll clean the place. And I'm like, wow. So that's why I said you and I are an anomaly, because this is how we make sure that our members feel at home.
Absolutely. Right? And what I think might be going on there is that to me is the sign of like wear down. When someone does something over and over and over, they say that you have to get like really good and put in those reps, right? That whole like 1,000 reps Bruce Lee quote. And so mastering the mundane, because most people check out after they are doing something day in and day out. And so the reason that they might be treating you that way is maybe you are their 12th tour of the day. And so they're just kind of bored and it's very mundane. And so they're just trying to get it over with. But what we always have to remind our team is it was your first. It was their 12th, but it was that customer first. And so make every single one special. Bring the magic, bring the customer service, because what is mundane to you is like, maybe it took a lot of courage. If it was an overweight person and they were really expecting a lot of attention and a lot of advice, and it was just very flat, that could be a deal breaker. That could make someone walk. And so, the fact is, like, yeah, you're a fit guy, you're already working out, and they're mundane with their, tasks. So then it's kind of like the worst possible scenario, which is just a very flat, vanilla, boring tour or, information. And so essentially what it's about is that to me is a skill, like a discipline, is can you take something very boring and make it fun? Can you bring that joy? And hey, this is just a reminder to everybody: don't apply to a job you don't want to be at. Don't say yes to a paycheck, say yes to a passion. And a lot of people take something for the paycheck, but not because they're passionate about it. So a reminder to employers and people who are offering positions: look for passion, over even experience. Like, I want to hear the energy and, the person selling me on why they want the job rather than me trying to sell them. That's what, a lot of employers do. We got this benefit. I would like to move you up over time, and I'm trying to sell them. They need to sell me. Why should I
Yeah.
allow you to be the front face of my company, right?
Mhm.
So it's interesting to hear your follow up, because that's exactly what my company helps gym owners with. Is we have a company called Gym Reinforcements, and the biggest thing that I think existing in all businesses, not even just gyms, is follow up, and the fact that the number one phrase you hear a gym owner say is, "I just need more leads," and the truth is,
Mhm.
you can put the leads they're already getting through a better experience, and their business will grow. They don't need more leads. They need a better lead follow-up system. And so
Right.
there's a prime example. I bet if I talked to the owner of the gyms you talked to, he'd probably give me that same answer. Man, I would grow my business, Dustin, if I got more leads. And I'm like, we just talked about somebody that came to visit your gym and they weren't impressed. And so that's why you lost. And so
Yeah.
we need to create a better experience and a better follow-up. And so that's where I would, my message to the fitness industry is, put a lot more energy into your follow-up and your experience, because every gym has a front door and a back door. And I really think there
Mhm.
needs to be someone who owns both doors. One is holding the front door and inviting people in and saying, welcome, we're so glad to have you, and remembering those first names. But someone needs to go lock the back door, which is an analogy for retention. Don't let them
Correct.
walk out. People are walking in and walking out. You're floating and you're kind of treading water with your business. So we need to lock that back door. Someone on your team needs to be retention focused, giving a great experience, getting people results. And someone needs to be very inviting and doing follow up and saying, come on in, you found your new fitness home. And so
Mm.
I know I made this mistake, and I'm curious if you've ever, experienced this yourself, or you've talked to other owners. But I've often tried to put both responsibilities on one person, and they tend to fail with that much responsibility, because those are two very different tasks. And so if I say, hey, manager, you're in charge of sales and follow up and retention,
Mm.
you shouldn't be surprised if they fail at one or both, because those are two giant mountains trying to climb at once, and you can't,
Yeah.
right? So
No, you can't.
that's my advice, is to incentivize one team member for each side and let them specialize in one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my
You
little
you
spiel on
you No, I love it. I love it. And this is why I'm excited to be talking to you today, because, you know, you and I, when we connected the first time, I'm like, man, I like this guy. What we had a short conversation, but immediately I liked you. So, and I knew it right away because of the concepts, the theories, and even the way you think, right? But it's the connection. It's the connection. I feel connected to you as a business leader, as someone who loves helping people, because who should be helping with retention? It should be the person that's mostly connected to that member. So for me, if I am a coach, do I do I let the janitor make the phone calls and try to keep the connections? No, I let the person. If I have a coaching business and I have several different coaches, should a coach who does not know this client call them? No, it should be the coach that works with them. Same thing, it should be the trainer who calls them. If you're at a gym, if you're doing private lessons or one-on-ones or even group sessions, it shouldn't be. Sometimes it doesn't hurt for the owner to call, because some people go, wow, the owner called me, and they really appreciate it. And the other touch that I do personally, and I'm sure you also recommend it, is to do surveys every so often. So
that.
because I own my business, I break it up into several different ones. One is, I have a brick and mortar. I have a 10,000 square foot facility, and it's martial arts, and it's kickboxing and boxing. So for those three, each one is its own entity, and there's different instructors for each one, right? And in several of them is different instructors, and every instructor is going to touch upon a different client, and it's their responsibility to be in contact with them. Because if I contact every single client, they're going to go, okay, cool. Raphael called me, but I barely work with Raphael. Meanwhile, I have certain concerns that maybe John or Mary or Sue noticed, but Raphael doesn't know. So it's that connection too, right? That's going to help us close the back door. And I love the analogy of the front and back door, because one is also opening the front door. How many times
Mhm.
have you been to or gone to a business that Google says they're open, and I show up and the door's locked? I've done that plenty of times,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So if you say you're going to do something, do it. And that's
love
also
it.
part of retention, right?
Yes. And so yeah, I want to give advice and tips to the listeners so that they can go and problem solve this, because we've, obviously pointed out a problem. Now I know they're probably thinking to themselves, what do I do about it? How do
Mm,
I solve this? So I want to share with the audience the fortune follow-up system. And so we've all probably heard that phrase in business, the fortune's in the follow-up. So I literally
mm,
named my system that to remind us that, hey, it's not about more leads. It's about, like, you're sitting on a gold mine. You're probably just not harvesting it and mining it for the
right.
gold that is there. And so essentially what that is there's three main buckets that we want to always be working. So the first one is your leads and your prospects. And so essentially I define those as a lead is somebody who's opted in and they're new in your system in the first 1 to 21 days. That first 3-week period is when they're the most hot, they're most excited to hear from you. And so you have to get aggressive on your follow-up in that period, because that is where the person has finally hit the brink. They've now raised their hand and said, I need help. And so we execute a system in the first week. We call it the 5x2 follow-up system. So this is a good writer downer for the audience. 5x2 means 2 contacts a day for 5 days. So you do a call and then a text and a call and a text, and you repeat that Monday through Friday, for example, for 5 days. And I know that's aggressive, but we are in a very noisy world. There's pings and rings and zings on your phone all day long between email, social media, text, DMs. And so you need to stand out in a noisy world, and the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So that means you need to make the most noise. And so I often find people say, thank you for following up. You called me, but I was just about to make dinner for the kids. You
Mm,
text me, but I was at work and I couldn't get back to you. And so play with different times, because people are available at different times of the day. But that is a very actionable item you can do ASAP. Is like, okay, moving forward, team, any new leads that come in, we take them through a 5x2 campaign. And that is where we're going to see more of those leads come into sales. We find gyms that are seeing about a 5 to 10% conversion from their leads double it. They see more like 20% conversion just by implementing this one system, the 5 by
mm,
2.
love it.
So
Love it.
that's the first bucket, your leads, your prospects. The second bucket is your past members. Now, they have trained with you, so they're almost the easiest sell you can go for, because they know, like, and trust you. They know where your gym's at. They know the team. They just know how it all works. But we're very novelty driven these days, which means like new, exciting, like if it's the same old, I might not be as excited to come back. So figure out a way to repackage and repurpose something in your business and give it a new name, slap a new label on it, breathe some new life into it. And, that's where continuing education comes in. If you go get a new cert, now you can take what you learned, put it into a new system, and then go and hit your past members and say, hey, I went and learned corrective exercise, and I'm now putting it into my small group training. So I want to invite you to come back, and I want to help get rid of your pain. And so I'm calling this my 28-day pain-free challenge. And so that's like, you see, I'm connecting my coaching brain
Oh,
and my
yeah.
marketing brain. I'm going to learn something, and then I'm going to market it and sell it. I'm going to learn something, I'm going to market it and sell it. You could go through a nutrition cert. There's a ton, but you could just basically inject that into your business and then spin it as a new offer to your past members. And so we've found this to be very successful and to be the most, I guess, profitable and most successful way to get past members back in. When we did the
Mm,
vague like check-ins, where it's like, hey, just checking in on you, would love to have you back. They're very low response rate. This makes it more exciting. It puts some pizzazz on it. And I say, hey, that's kind of how people are looking at businesses these days. There's like, more of what have you done lately or how have you grown lately. And so
Mm.
an example would be Netflix. They have to keep pulling out new movies, new shows.
Oh yeah.
If
Oh
they
yeah.
just uploaded 1,000 movies and they said that's it, we're done, they would start seeing cancellations because people would see everything and they'd be tapping out.
That's right.
So we have to keep producing new, right? New. So that works really good for your past members to get them back in. And like I said, they're laydowns because they know where the gym is, but they left for a reason. And by saying I have something new is usually an exciting reason to return.
Mm.
Um,
Love it.
Third and final bucket in the fortune follow-up system is asking your members for referrals, but in a cool way. So we can just generally say, hey, do you guys know any friends and family that want to come work out with me? And that's kind of like just lame and, again, very vanilla. Like we want to spice things up and make it really fun and exciting.
Mm.
So two ideas I would give you is number one, a friends and family week where literally all of your members can bring somebody for free the entire week. But we all know people have to sign a waiver to come into a gym. So you need to collect their name, phone number, and email the week before friends and family week. So you can put them in your system, which gets you free leads. You didn't cost you anything. You just had to ask your members. And then you message them and say, hey, your friend has put you down for a VIP pass. We want to invite you in. And again, now that they have a buddy and they have a connection person at that gym, there's a high likelihood they're going to convert after that free week and become an actual paying member. So that's now you're making your members feel cool that, if you put a cool name like, VIP pass, VIP program, now they're going to feel like cool inviting their friends in and giving them the VIP hookup. The second one that we just launched not too long ago that's working really well is the Referral King and Queen program. And so essentially what this is you pick 3 to 5 of your best members that have gotten the best transformations and say, I basically want to pay you an affiliate commission. I'm going to make you your own personal link. And we just use a Google form that is name, phone number, email. And the fourth question is, what is your main fitness goal? And so if you can post on your social media and just shout out our gym and tell your friends to fill out your form, that's attached to your posts, every person that gets a membership, I'm going to give you a commission. So, depending on the price of your programs, you can figure out what you want to pay the client. Maybe it's 20, 50, even up to $100. But you could say, hey, when you post, tell your friends about the results you got. And then say, if you guys want to join me, click on my link, you'll get a special deal. Give their buddy a special deal. But then if they sign up, kick that back, the money maybe you would have paid a salesperson to your client. I think that's a cool way to keep them, that they're like, oh man, my gym's paying me. Like, this is awesome. I'm never going to leave. So this is the fortune follow-up system that we deploy from Gym Reinforcements to help gym owners. And we can very much look at bucket one. I feel like all gym owners can concentrate my leads, my prospects that are in my database since I opened the gym. But we forget about past members and members. And they're all three buckets you kind of got to cycle through as the year goes on. It's just a matter of being creative and thinking of a cool way that would make them want to take action instead of a very standard ask. Spice it up, put some flavor and some sensationalization on it, and people will jump on it, and you'll grow your business a lot easier that way. So hopefully that was valuable to the audience.
Extremely. Here's what here's the biggest takeaway I got. You pay the king and queen. I love that one the best, right? Because that's not only retention, but it's also bringing in new clients. I love the fact that you're not paying, not only you're not paying for advertising that way, but you're not paying a salesperson. You're paying the best salesperson, somebody who's going to talk you up. Because for me, referrals, they're already sold. They're coming because they've been sold. And who is the best salesperson? Their friend. Their friend is going to go, hey, you got to come with me, join this place. Oh my God. I'm talking so many years ago. I dated a young lady, and I already owned my place, right? And she says, hey, do you want to come to my gym? And I said, sure. And her gym had, gyms all over the place. So I said, I like her gym. I said, she goes, do you want to join? I said, yeah, probably do. Because at one time, I think I belonged to 5 gyms because I like going to different gyms, right? And I actually joined it. And you know what she said to me? Thank you so much. I said, why? She goes, because I just got a free month because you joined. I said, that is cool. And then she goes, if I get 4 more people to sign up, I get the whole year for free. I said, what? I
That's a
said, that is
deal.
incredible. So what did this gym do? They gave her 1 month per person. But if she brought 6 people, instead of giving her 6 months, they gave her a full year for free.
I love it.
How motivated was she?
Yes. I mean, look at, she
Very.
was counting down the numbers. She's like, X down, X to go. Like she's probably got a little on her refrigerator, a little tally going. So
Yeah, it's a great concept. And when we think about referrals, right? And like I said, who better to be your salesperson than somebody who is, let's be honest, somebody who's drank the Kool-Aid, right? If you will, right? Somebody who has invested their time, their effort. They know the quality of what you offer, right? And
absolutely.
it's she didn't just do it because she was getting the the year for free. She did it because she didn't even ask me to join. She said, hey, why don't you, I have a free pass, you want to come work out with me? I said, sure. And then she said, hey, do you like it? I'm like, yeah. And I said, she goes, you can join. I said, I think I will. But she wasn't pushy, like some salespeople are. And I'd love to get your take on that. Pushy
So,
salespeople, which we
yeah,
don't like. I run from them, or actually I try to help them like you do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And this is definitely my passion. Is why I started gym reinforcements, because there's usually, well, there's 3 things I would say that happens typically in a gym. Number one, the gym owner is not themselves good at sales. So then they
Mm,
find it very difficult to train somebody. How could you tell someone to do something you're not good at? And so they might call us and they say, all right, this sounds good, but you know what I'm going to try first? I think I'm going to try to hire my own person. And I said, you called me because you're not doing good with sales. How good is that going to go? I said,
mm,
chances are you're going to call me back in 3 or 6 months. So why not, instead of wasting that time, just work with us? Let me have my sales reps, because I love sales. Like I'm the opposite of that owner. I love that part. How good do
yeah.
you think my reps are trained because somebody
Mm,
brought that energy versus somebody's like, what you're going to naturally procrastinate on or skip or fast forward or things you don't like. So that's what that sales training will be like when they do hire their
mm,
person. They're going to
yeah.
procrastinate, they're going to dread it, and then their trainer salesperson is not going to be good. So that's scenario one. Scenario two is they just have no sales system. Like it's just
Mhm.
wing it. Like
Right.
whatever you learned at the other place, bring it here. We do zero training. And then the third is the owner's really good at sales, but they're very like driven and very like direct. And so sometimes they also cannot be a good salesperson because they want things like instant and they want things fast and they get
Right.
impatient when they're training people. And they're like, can't you just do it good like me? But they don't know how to
Right.
and we know like getting yourself in shape versus coaching someone else is 2 different skills. Like you have
Mhm.
to learn the skill of and the art of training someone else. So we've also run into owners that they are a great salesperson, but they too are also a bad sales trainer because they're just impatient and they can't articulate what they do so well. And so then it doesn't transfer and then they get mad. So those are the 3 scenarios that usually happens with a gym owner when it comes to sales. So I distilled mine into like a very easy to remember formula so that they can take it and train it to their salesperson. And it is very, informal and it helps to, make it simple too. And so
Mhm.
the acronym I use is the CHARM sales process, CHARM. And so that's an acronym and I'll go through it with the audience. But it came from a team member actually just listening to how I close people, and she said, Dustin, I think you just close people with charm. Like you're just very like, fun and easy to talk to. They don't care what you'd sell them. They just want to do it because you bring the charm. So I said, I like that. That's a word that we don't use a whole lot these days. I'm going to put that into a sales process. So I'm going to break
Love
that
it.
down. So the C is crack a smile. So immediately to get their guard down, you got to get them to smile. And so that means though I lead the conversation, so I have to be smiling. And a lot of trainers, you see their profile photo, it's crossed arms and
Oh
a
my
serious
gosh.
face. Immediately you're hurting
Or
your
this.
sales. Yeah,
Posing.
or double bicep or shirtless and just all the things that would scare a non-fit person away. So smile on your profile photos, smile on your videos when you're approaching somebody for their sales conversation. Hey, how's it going, Susan? I'm so excited to meet with you. I am trying to get her because they copy your body language and your facial expression. So if you're serious, they're serious. So if I'm smiling and cracking a smile, she will. So that's my first goal. I actually don't move on until I break them and get them to smile. Because if they're a very serious person, I'll make a joke. I'll pick on myself. I'll pick on the gym, something kind of, silly. I'll tell them a silly story. I literally cannot proceed till a smile has been broken. And I will keep working that person till I get it. But I think that that's the first thing is that people are coming and they're scared. And this is a place they think is going to be painful and negative and everyone's judging them. You hear people say, when I go to the gym, I think everyone's judging me for doing the form incorrectly, or I don't know the equipment. And so judgment, shame, I've let myself go. Like we got to just break up the energy first before we move forward. So that's C, crack a smile. H is now just more discovery, and that's how can I help? That's the H is how can I help? So what's going on? It's kind of just like open-ended questions. You don't drive you don't assume if you look at someone you think they need to lose weight, say welcome. So how many pounds are you looking to lose, right? We don't want to lead with that because that could get you in trouble. You want to say, what are your fitness goals? What made you book an appointment? How can I help you? What are you looking to achieve fitness wise? Very open-ended. I let them guide it because I want their words to be what I can write down and make notes and use back and repeat to them to show that I've been paying attention. I take copious notes when I'm meeting with someone, and that makes them feel important. It helps me to kind of like remember it better too. I do have good memory, but when you just have it all down, usually what tends to happen is unless they're going to work with you, you're going to have to pass this to somebody. So if you didn't take any notes, now you're going to have to go verbally and spit it. And what if you have 8 appointments that day and you made 8 sales? Like you're gonna have to recite this to the team. That's sloppy. So make notes, put it in your CRM, email it to the trainer that's going to work with them. But that's the H is how can I help, and take notes in detail. The A is ask for details, and so that is now I've opened it up with the overarching like vague questions, but now I'm going to say, okay, you said you want to lose 25 pounds. How long have you been trying to lose that? What are you feeling pain in your body because of those 25 pounds? Are you feeling it in your knees or your back? Are you on any medications? And I'm trying to make her articulate more pain, but then I also want to articulate and ask for details of pleasure. Where are we going? So we get those 25 pounds off. What's something you want to do? Like, is there anything physically that you want to, do you want to go do a 5K? Do you want to be able to do your first pull up? Are you going to go on vacation and climb the pyramids in Egypt? What will happen when we achieve this goal? And when you have more confidence, it doesn't even have to be like a physical thing. It could just be what will change in you. Will your mindset change? Will you have more confidence? Give me these details. And I want to take her through heaven and hell. I want to ask the pain. And then I want to ask for that pleasure. And that's important before we go to the next one. So that's the A. Then R is now you can pitch. You can reveal your solution. That's the R. And so essentially reveal your solution is now you're the doctor. You intake all the symptoms and now you prescribe the medicine. And you say, okay, hey, I think you need to work with a coach, Sal, twice a week in a semi-private setting. And then he's going to probably give you some cardio homework to do 2 days a week as well. And that's what I'm prescriptively writing for you. And you want to write it out very detailed and very, direct, because you don't want to give open access for the client to interpret what they should do. They came to you for a full done for you solution. So if you say, hey, I think you should do 2 strength workouts and 2 cardio workouts, you're not really revealing a specific solution. We want to give them the best experience. So I always say sell your highest price program and then downsell if you encounter friction because of price. So I would go like semi-private is like our top program. If you guys have one-on-one PT, go for that. Then you can maybe go boot camp or classes. Then you can kind of go open gym access, whatever you want to do. Online coaches, they might have one or two different packages as well. But like, first start with your red carpet experience. If you could really, if you don't know what this person makes, give them your best stuff first. Try to get them on that, because you get a customer who's more invested financially, emotionally, mentally, and then you get to serve at your highest level. Like, you should have that program where you're like, this would be my dream. If I could have 100 or 500 clients in this program, we would crush it as a company, but we'd also make the most impact on these clients. That should be how you start in your sales combo. And then you have your back pocket offer, your more budget friendly offer as you downsell. So that's reveal your solutions, and you shouldn't reveal them all at once. You should start with your best and talk it through, see if you can make it work, and then have an ace up your sleeve you can pull out if needed. So that's the R. And the final one, M, this is the big one most people forget, is make the sale, which means directly ask for their commitment. Like, they say, so this is what we do. Let me know if you want to get started. Very open-ended way for them to walk out the door.
Goodbye.
So what do you think? Like these phrases that you're like, you're literally asking them to walk away right now. Make the sale is a very direct. So what would you like? Option A or option B? Like, I'm asking for the sale. Like, are you ready to get started this Monday? So which option do you think is best for you? These are versions of like making the sale. And this is why I brought up those three scenarios, is that there's either the owner that's not good at making the sale, so they're not going to train somebody. No, there's no system for making the sale, or they're really good at it and they just don't know how to teach this to the team. So I developed this charm sales process so that it's so easy for anybody to step into and have a very easy checklist. It's 5 steps and it's very memorable. And that way you can make more sales and grow your business.
My gosh, you're a wealth of information. You know what?
Thank you.
With every word you talk, I'm like, man, I'm loving you, because you and I think exactly, well, probably a little different, but very much alike. You and I, it's like we're brothers from different parents, right? Because that's exactly how I think. One of the things, and it's funny that you talk about training your people, because I have a young staff member that I'm training now, and the most important thing that I'm training them on is the tour. When somebody walks in, you don't let them walk in and go, who's here to help me? No, you approach them, right? Immediately. How are you? Did you find it okay? How'd you hear about us? All these different things. And you're right. Smile, right? Smile, crack that smile. Always. That's number one. Because if you come up and I don't get, and I tell my employees, listen, if you've had a bad day and you're going to bring it to work, don't come to work. Don't come to work. I'd rather you call and say, hey, you know what? I feel like crap. Because if you feel like crap and you come to work, you're going to just, pardon the French, but you're going to poop over everybody. It's no good. It's not good for you. It's not good for the business. It's not good for the clients. It's not good for anybody. So if you're going to work here, there's benefits to, I have a whole kitchen area where my staff can go and get anything they want. I have all kinds of, fruit bars and protein drinks and everything. And it's free to them, right? Because I want them to understand that, hey, if I feel a little hungry, no, just go buy something here. Not buy it, but just go help yourself, right? Waters, anything. So I'm always treating them first class. Because if I don't treat them first class, they will not treat my clients first class. And I love the king and queen aspect that you talked about before. And the other thing I was teaching my employee yesterday was they need to own it when they walk in. So if they go, oh, what's the schedule? I don't want you to tell them the schedule. I want you to actually physically hand it to them. So they look at it. the different classes, the different schedules, when we're open, all this, because now they're physically holding something, and then they can say, oh, I can come this day, I can come here, I can come. So now they start to own it, right? So, and then she got it. At first she was like, why don't I just tell them? I said, because if you tell them, they most people, even though they have 2 years, they're probably not even using them well. But if you can tell them while they look at it. So now you're hitting two targets, right? You're hitting the visual and the auditory. And so now you're really reaching them. And then the other thing is, you don't just leave it alone and just say, okay, thanks for looking at the schedule. You say, well, what days do you see yourself coming? So once again, that ownership, and I know you do this because you're amazing. I love everything you've been saying, but this is why you and I can see us clicking really well together. And by the way, I have an incredible event coming up in New York. I think you need to be there. I need you to be on stage and share some of your wealth and knowledge. We have a 3-day event. It's really 4 days for the people who are coming. It's July 13th through the 16th. And I think you would be an exceptional part of the speaking engagement for everybody, and also to be there to just coach people along the way. And maybe because you are coaching people all over the world, you don't need to be in front of them to give them the advice and the knowledge that you have. You're giving me tons of advice and knowledge. Here's the beautiful thing that you're doing. You're telling me stuff I know, but you're telling it to me in a different way. And it's stuff, listen, I've been writing notes, right? And the reason I've been writing notes is because I know everything you're saying, but I like the way you said it. So the words we use, like I love the king and queen. Can I say it enough? I love that because
that's great.
we treat our customers really well. You and I know we both do. But a lot of people listening are going, well, you know what? I give them service. They should be lucky to be here. No, you should be grateful every time you see a customer. And listen, if you have a nice house, if you have a nice car, if you take a trip, it is only possible because of the service you provide to these customers. So next time you go and buy yourself something really nice, have gratitude. Don't just be like, oh, I got all this money. No. How'd you get the money? Right? It's the people that you connect with that are going to help you. Right? So I love everything you're doing.
Thank you. And then feeling mutual, man. And I got to say, the reason I think that I connect with you as much as you connect with me, I think about this pyramid of experience. So this might be another thing that, you look at a pyramid, it's widest at the bottom. This is all the people who are just getting into the industry because it is low hanging fruit. There's people who go train someone no cert. Like you could just pop up a boot camp at a park and not have a certification. It's dangerous. I don't recommend it, but people do it all the time. Or you get a cert, which is a minimal investment. We're being honest. $1,000 to go get a cert versus a college degree is far, cheaper to get started. So that's the bottom pyramid, but these are all 1 year and below trainers. It makes up the biggest base of the pyramid. And then you go to the next stage, and it's people who have been trainers for, 5 and under years. And so more experience, but over time, every industry just weeds people out because they can't stick with something and they're hopping from one opportunity to the next. And so they leave, and only the people who are more serious make it. Then you go up another level and people actually take the investment leap and they open a gym. And so that's like the next pinnacle that you step into. And then the final one is like running multiple gyms or gyms for an extended period of time, which if it's in the decades, it's a small group of people. And that's why I think you and I are really clicking, is like we're in that, like been in the game for a while, put in a lot of reps, and it's just real recognizes real, right? That's what the kids say these days. So real recognizes real. When you've seen another person, they're not faking it. I can hear the experience in their words, their thoughts, their processes. I know they've been in the game. And that's, sadly what most people can't wait for, because they want to get into that entry level part of the pyramid and leap to the top and skip all the time in between, which is what shapes you, is what gives you your knowledge. You know, all those reps that are just countless, that make you a better salesperson, that make you a better business leader, that make you a better coach. You just got to put in the reps, just like anything. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the workforce today want to get in and jump to the top, and you just can't fast forward time and reps. That there's just like, that's the paying your dues part of any industry you get into. And so, you know, that's why I think we're connecting. And the other thing I wanted to point out was, you know, hey, if there are people who are struggling out there, like, thank you again for the compliments and saying that this stuff is clicking with you. I've even found this. There's things I've taught my team and I can't like get it into their heads, like they're not learning it. And I bring in a third party, and for some reason they say it differently and it clicks. And so you're like, guys, I've been saying this to you. What's going on?
Forever.
and so it's, people hear different things, you know, differently from, you know, different people. And so when you bring in other people, I'll send my team YouTube. I'll say, hey, maybe this guy on YouTube explains it better than I do. Watch his video and if this clicks better. Or you bring in a third. I've hired multiple experts to come and give a private day training to my team, because I also know the longer someone's on my team, sometimes I become white noise. When they first join the team, they're like, oh, it's Dustin, it's the owner. He's had 6 gyms in 6 years. Like I interviewed with him. And then fast forward 3 years, like, oh, what's up, Dustin? And they just walk by me and like, they don't care anymore. Like, I'm just this guy they work with, right? So I'm like, okay, I've become white noise to you. Now I need to bring in another person to say what I'm saying to you, because you're not hearing it the way you did when you first joined the team, when you're like coachable, you know, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you're excited to learn. So I don't think that happens to me. I think it happens to most business leaders. So, you know, kind of accept that, you know, hey, sometimes it's not a bad thing to bring in other people, because sometimes they can package it in a new way that will land with your team. And that's ultimately the mission. Is like, I don't care how you learn it, as long as you learn it and that we achieve our mission, which is to help more people get healthy and fit and fight this darn obesity epidemic that's plaguing our country, you know?
Oh my gosh. Why is it, Dustin, that we are the biggest country, and I mean in girth, compared to Europe, right? In Europe, also, there's certain foods that are not allowed. They're illegal. Like certain breads, you know, the chemicals that are put in the breads that we eat are illegal. And when people go to Europe, they can eat almost anything and it's healthier for them. Right.
And they lose weight. Absolutely.
It's crazy.
I think there's
so I want to share, because you have so many books behind you, but you know, one of the books that I really love is that, you know, when you think about the power of habit, right? I got to put that back over here. But you talked about the habit, right? That we get into a habit, we get into a routine. But when we can learn to understand habit, especially for our employees. So one of the things that I always say to my employees, listen, the context of the tour is the same, right? We go to step 1, we go to step 2, we go to step 3, but it's going to be different for every single person that comes through the door, because even though you're going to learn kind of a script, that script, we're going to throw it out because it has to be internalized, right? You just have to know the concepts, the ideas, because when somebody comes through the front door, this is how we greet them. This is what we say to them. Then we show them the schedule. We want to make sure that this fits with their schedule, with their lifestyle. What are they looking for? Was it easy to find us? Did they have trouble? How did they find us? Because we also want to know if our marketing is working. And then we start walking them through, and we have pictures, and we go, this is what happens here, da, 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 da. And then we walk them through another spot. So we have certain spots that we take them through to showcase what we do while we're asking them questions, because what we show them is based on, you said it earlier, how and what are they looking for? Because if I take somebody in, and I'm sure you've had many people come through your place, and if you didn't do it right away, later on, you find out, wait a minute, this is not for you. You want this for your wife, or you want this for your boyfriend? Because you could have avoided a 20 minutes or even 10 minutes of this kind of presentation, and you could have just said, and that's one of the first things we always ask is, how can we help you today, and what are you looking for? And is this for you or someone else? I found out many years ago that question alone saved me aggravation, because later on they're like, oh no, it's not for me. I'm like, what happened here? You weren't clear. So now we clarify. That's the how, the what, and the who. Because if it's not for you, then why are they not here? And then the other question is, if they're not here, is this a gift? Are you going to make a gift for them? And then let me ask you a question. What if they don't want this gift? I asked them that. I said, you're going to give them a gift, but what if they don't want it? Then what? And they're like, I didn't think of it. I said, listen, I would love to have them as a client. I'd love to have you as a client. But if it doesn't make sense for them, sure, I can give you a gift certificate. I can give you all that kind of stuff. But if it doesn't make sense for them, then I'm going to have a customer who is not going to be happy. And if you look at any and talk to any of my customers, they're all thrilled to be here. Right. So that's some of the things that I found throughout my experience. I've had my place, my brick and mortar, for 29 years. I've been open throughout the time, including COVID. I wasn't open in a physical, but I took my clients through a virtual experience. And I only lost 3 people.
Wow.
Only
That's
3.
it.
Right. Why? Because of the service. Because I had an idea that something was happening. Plus, I've always wanted to include virtual for people, because if somebody says, I can't work out today, well, why not? Oh, have a busy day. Well, log on. You can work out at home. You don't need to be here. You're my member. By the way, other people have to pay for this, but you're my member. You get this for free. So I started doing that before the pandemic hit. And then what wound up happening is, when we were told to close, I think it was March 16th, it was a Monday. And I said to my clients, I said, hey guys, don't worry, take tomorrow off, which is Tuesday. Wednesday, we're fully back on. We have all these classes every day. And they were like, what? This is crazy. The school system wasn't even up and running as fast as we were. And I set it all up. So the only 3 people that quit is just because they didn't want to do anything at home. I was like, okay.
They're waiting for an excuse, essentially, is what it comes down to for the most part, like anything. So I totally hear you. And going back to your point about like what's causing this obesity epidemic for us versus Europe, I definitely think our food supply is a huge component of that. Processed foods, they're hyper palatable, they're easy to overeat. Everything's just rip open a bag, a package. They don't eat like that there. Everything's fresh. And what I also like that they do is they pace it out in courses. So think about it. If you ever go to a really fine dining, like steakhouse or, like sushi experience, they bring you out little, portions, but it's 4 courses and they're stretching your meal out. They're forcing you to not be able to wolf it down quickly. And we are also very heavily distracted eaters. We're eating while we're watching something, while we're watching TV, watching YouTube, while we're, on our phone, while we're driving. We just wolf our food down as something we just got to knock out. It is an experience in other countries. It's a 2-hour minimum for a meal to occur. And it's all portioned out into very small. That allows your body to kind of get those full signals and to, kind of like for you to get the ghrelin and all these other types of things that make you feel full, even though portion wise, it's less than what you might have ate at home. But then ingredients wise, it's fresh. And so it sends the signals to your body that it's supposed to, where processed foods usually missing all those nutrients. And so you never get the fullness signals you would from a fresh ingredient, type of experience. And then the
Right.
final thing is they just move a lot more than us. We're very sedentary. We've
Yes.
almost like we've made life too convenient. There's people who can work from home and they can have groceries brought to them and food brought to them, and they can literally go the rest of their life getting less than 1,000 steps a day, all inside their house, like from
Mm.
bed to office to bathroom, back to bed. They have this little triangle, and you could
Oof.
life has just become too easy and convenient, and that is a
Mm.
gift and a curse. And they walk everywhere. Cars are not everyone in Europe owns a car, and they walk everywhere they go. And some of them, have gardens or they have physical activities. They ride their bikes to get places. So I just think that's what we got to kind of get back to. We're very much like the country that leads the way in terms of technology and business, but we're lagging definitely when it comes to health. And I think we can learn from them in terms of lifestyle changes to get us back there. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I think there's a major difference between the two.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when you first started talking today, I was like, man, I wanna be a member at your gym, right? Because you say hi to me, you come in, you make me feel welcome, you make me feel excited, and that's why I told you what I did. And everywhere, no matter where I go, I'm always I'm that guy that's looking at what people are doing, what the employees are doing, what the owner is doing. You know,
Yes.
everywhere that I go, I have that mind of, huh, how would I what would I do if I owned this business? Would I run it the way they do it? Or what would I change? It's almost like a game I play with myself. It's that mindset, right, of never ending improvement, right? It doesn't matter how important you feel you are, you're not that important unless you constantly improve yourself, right? The only importance I have is by what I've learned, right? I can't go by what, yes, I can go by what I learned yesterday, but man, am I looking to learn something today? You've been teaching me a lot today, my friend, so I really appreciate you.
I'm very,
What
very
would you say? Where are your gyms, by the way?
so my gyms are in California, SoCal to be exact, and I have moved to Texas 2 years ago. So I am
Mm,
remotely running them, and that's something that again you can't do overnight. It takes years to get them systemized, the right people in place, and so that's kind of where I'm at and where my gyms are.
nice. And that's systems. And we kind of talked about systems, but we didn't say the word systems till now, because everything that you've been talking about, right? The greet, the tour, the
Yeah.
the closing, the opening the front door, that's a system. The closing the back door. And you talked about the systems of having the right people in place in order to systematize everything, because an experience is important. If you and you talked about a restaurant, you go for a 4-star restaurant or a 5-star restaurant, or you go to a 2-star restaurant, your experience is very different.
Mhm.
If you go into a restaurant and the bathrooms are dirty, man, that is not a restaurant you want to eat at. So a lot of
Yes.
times, right? People don't. What's the bathroom got to do with it? Well, if they don't take care of the bathrooms, how do you think the kitchen is, right?
Yes.
And then for me, my place is spotless, and people are like, "How do you guys keep this place so so clean and the bathroom's always smelling nice and every?" I said, "Because we care. Because my members to me are my family, right?" And
Mhm.
even when I'm not there, just like when you're not at your place or your places, it's the empowerment that you've given your staff, right?
Yeah.
To give them a purpose of why they do certain things, right? Because the overall goal, if they're working for a paycheck, man, you don't want them, do you?
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're gonna be checked out, and that's why we screen that, during the
Mhm.
recruiting phase. And then even when you get someone on board, people are really good at putting on a front, with interviews. And so then
Right.
quality check it once they're aboard the team, and you find out, you say you care. Now let's see if the actions match your words. So I think, again, that's a whole nother topic we'll have to dive into on a future episode, is like
Yeah, absolutely.
recruiting talent, training, upskilling people. Like, there's a lot that goes into just that. And I think behind gym owner saying I need more leads, the second thing is I need more coaches, and I need more staff and I need more help there. And I think
Right.
that's the second most common one. So maybe we'll have to do a follow-up episode on that.
I think so. I think without a doubt. So I want everybody to block their calendars, July 13th through the 16th. We're going to have an amazing event in New York and Long Island, New York. And Dustin, what can I say, man? You are an exceptional human being. Thank you for what you do. And I love, as you can tell, I love gyms, right? I love going to a gym. I love just working out. I love that feeling that I get from it. And when I go to a place that's not handled well, right? There's these big box gyms that really don't care. Man, it's so disappointing. And especially for when we want to get people in shape, we're telling everybody, hey, we're big, America, let's go work out. And then they go to these facilities that are terrible and don't make them feel welcomed. Then we're defeating the whole purpose of trying to get America in shape, right? So
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you being here with me today. So what would you say is one of the, besides everybody should go check you out without a doubt, right? Everybody who owns a gym or is interested in even eventually opening up their own gym, right?
Yes.
And a
Yeah.
lot of people go, wow, this is saturated. No, it's not saturated. I think that what we need to do is get more people involved in ownership, right? And you said it. There's people that do pop-up places in the park, but they're not certified and they're going to hurt people. And that's another, a big qualm with me too, because I've seen people at gyms do things that I'm like, oh my God, they're going to get so hurt. Really quick, and I know you have to go. I saw a girl doing a movement, and I've had 3 knee surgeries, not from working out, not from martial arts, from a car accident, right? And I saw this girl doing this move, and I said, my gosh, I didn't want to say anything. And finally I said, let me say something to her. And I said, hey, listen, she had her earphones on. She took them off. I said, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what you're doing, you're going over like this. And I said, that can be harmful to your ligaments. She goes, oh, I'm a physical therapist. I'm like, oh, okay. Enough said. Take care. Bye-bye. And I was like, oh my God, I hope nobody really goes to this girl. But she was young, she might have been starting out. But when we think about training our employees, training anybody, you said it before, you can't do the 10,000 hours in an hour. You have to put the time in, right? So what's one word of advice that you would give everybody?
Yeah, I mean, definitely go work with somebody who has some experience and notoriety, and that way you learn the right way. Because if you go to one of those trainers that don't know what they're doing, just like I mentioned earlier, the sales trainer that's not a good sales trainer trying to train you, you will become a crappy salesperson. So don't go to a trainer that doesn't know their stuff. And if you don't know what that look, you're like, hey, I don't know. Like, all the exercises look the same. And like we have those filters where we can spot it from a mile away. Like, okay, they're doing it wrong. Someone else looks at it and they might say, what's wrong? I don't see anything wrong. And that's because they don't have that trained eye. So yes, like years of experience is definitely like an easy one. But then also look at like results. What kind of results have they gotten? You could look at their 5-star reviews, but like treat it like you're going to pick a restaurant and you want to look at their Yelp reviews and you're kind of like tracking them. Does the person in the park have any reviews? Probably none. Have they really gotten any transformations? No. So that, I would say, is the best thing you can do, is go intern and donate your time. I have an internship program. If anybody's ever in SoCal, we actually have 3 interns at all of our facilities right now. And it's because they know I'm going to be around these world-class coaches. They have multiple certs, degrees, and years of experience. And I'm going to soak that in, just hearing how they talk to the clients, hearing why they program the way they do, hearing why they nutrition coach. I'm going to soak that in, and I get that for free because I'm just donating my time. Like that is the best way, is find an experienced notoriety gym or trainer in your area and add value to them. Say, I'll run your social media. I'll, help you with loading and unloading plates in your sessions. I'll clean the gym. I'll co-coach the sessions by your side because, I want to learn from you. I think that's always what I found is the fastest ticket to success is mentorship. If you try to like self-study and go to YouTube University or go through a course or
you're gonna get
you don't get the experience as fast as you do real world experience. So I would say leap in to real world experience. You could also do self-study on the back end, but nothing will teach you faster than real world experience.
Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. And I totally agree 1,000%. Great stuff. Do me a favor, just hang around for a minute while we say goodbye to everybody. And everybody, what an amazing conversation I had with Dustin today. He is exceptional. Please look him up, find him. Not only can he help you with your business, but you have such great insight. I can see it. You have this eye, right? And you understand sales. I'm sure that if somebody had a different business outside of a gym, that you could probably help them as well. Am I right there?
I have helped a landscape business, a couple other businesses to grow their business because I think business is business. All
Business is business.
sections are the same, marketing and sales and fulfillment and retention. It's just a matter of applying it to the business that person has. So but yeah, thank you. I appreciate you, Rafael. This has been awesome. And I would say if anybody wants to learn more and grow their gym, I have a free Facebook group called Gym Reinforcements, and I'm just posting free content about sales and marketing and all kinds of different ways to think. And so that would be a good group to go and join. And if you do want help with lead follow-up, then I know Rafael had it on here a couple of times, and that's gymreinforcements.com. Book a call with me, and we'll talk about it and see if it's a right fit. There are some qualifications. You have to have the right amount of leads, the right amount of lead flow. We've talked to some people who are just getting started, and they can't have enough leads to keep our team busy. So we need to have you hit some specific markers to be a good fit. And so we'll talk more. And if not, I'll definitely part ways giving you some free advice or some point you in the right direction until you can't get to that level where we can work with you.
Love it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Dustin. Have an amazing and exceptional day, everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.